And it turns out that in the human disease we've looked at, the microbes that tend to be more genetically influenced rather than influenced by diet are the ones that are important for human health. So it could be explaining why some people are genetically predisposed to some conditions. Could be that they have more or less of these microbes. But I think the big change we've seen in the last few years is we used to think that microbes were bad for you, that we would concentrate on the pathogens. It turns out that 99% are actually either neutral or beneficial for us. And the more beneficial ones you have, the less likely you are to get diseases. So I think we're changing our perspective about trying to kill off the pathogens, and now we need to change our bigger view to say, how can we keep our community of microbes, the microbiome, healthy, so we have maximize the number of beneficial microbes, and that will help our immune systems, help us to produce more vitamins, help our defenses naturally. And this is where we need to start re-looking at our lifestyles, and particularly trying to change our views on antibiotics and pesticides and reverse some of the mistakes we've made in the past, because generally our diversity of microbes in every country tested has gone down in the last 40 years. So in the era before we had processed foods, before we had antibiotics, before we had these sterile cesarean section births, we were much better off. And studies in Africa from tribes that still live like we used to appear to have much healthier microbes. So we've got a long way to go to get back to our healthy roots. The big question is, how do we get back some of the microbes we've lost? When we compare ourselves to the hunter-gatherers in, say, Tanzania, we've lost about 40% of our microbes, and they have many species that we no longer have in the West. So one way is to start reintroducing them, it's a bit like early farming. We could start farming them up and see if we can introduce them back into humans, get them back as part of our chain. We don't know if that's going to be successful or not. But we know that very often, rather than having zero amounts of this, we may have very small amounts inside us of some beneficial ones that we can grow up. And we use prebiotics for that. Prebiotic is a term like a fertilizer for your microbes. So by giving them more to eat and working out which microbes like to eat which food, we can start to stimulate them and get them to grow. So it could be a combination of giving some of these seeds from these beneficial microbes that are no longer with us, which we'd call probiotics, because probiotic is a live microbe that you might think of normally in yogurt or kefir or sauerkraut, fermented foods. Adding those plus with a high fiber diet that's created to try and boost these numbers of these rare microbes. So I think we're in the very early stages of understanding this, but we do know that with some foods you can improve microbes quite a lot. So I think it's a mixture, but also it's changing our lifestyles. It's saying, we have to stop using antibiotics indiscriminately. We have to stop unnecessary cesarean sections. We have to stop our indoor living. We have to reconnect with nature in order to get full benefit of microbes. We know that having a dog, for example, is healthy for your microbes. So we should all be stroking dogs and going to farms and things much more. Interesting, not cats, just dogs. But that seems to be so. A lifestyle for our kids that's perhaps different to the ones we've been brought up. Get them dirty, get them playing outdoors, get them eating more vegetables, less processed foods, and get back to nature.